Okay, we're going to continue with the Green Ember, Chapter 9. It's called Salvation. Pickett had seen far more than Heather had. He had pulled at her with all his strength, knowing somewhere inside he couldn't pull her free, but refusing to listen to that voice. He had torn at the rock until his nails bled. He tried everything to rip her free and pull her inside the cave, but that one-eyed wolf was upon her, and there was no time left. She had whispered her farewell, and all he could say was, "No, no, no." Then Pickett saw him soaring through the air over the shoulder of Heather's attacker. Father, he thought, but all was just a gray blur. Behind Heather and the second wolf, the one whose jaws were wide to strike, the second wolf was now charging, intent on intercepting the soaring gray rabbit. Pickett's brief moment of hope had dissolved. He tried to get an arm out past Heather to strike the red-eyed wolf bearing down on his sister. Then he saw another form, a white blur, launch from the bushes and tackle the second wolf. The gray and white tangle of teeth and blades rolled away into the thicket and out of Pickett's vision. He heard the sounds of a terrible struggle. Then, to his shock, he saw that the soaring gray rabbit was headed for Heather. No! He stepped back without thinking as the rabbit's powerful feet connected with Heather's shoulder, sending her crashing right into the cave. The rabbit had hit her hard, yes, but had put her out of danger of being killed. The wolves could never fit inside. Pickett was thrilled and confused all at once. He knelt by his sister, listening to her heartbeat, and felt for her breath. She was knocked out cold, but alive. He sprang over to the cave entrance, his heart racing. What had happened to Heather's savior? Was it Father? And what of the white rabbit, the one who had attacked the second wolf? When he peered out the cave's entrance, he saw the gray rabbit's back to him, standing guard, a gleaming sword in his hand. There were 3 long red lines across his back. Rescuing Heather had cost him. He stepped back and forth as the red-eyed wolf with the horrible scar stalked him. The wolf was sizing up the sword-bearing rabbit and looked eager to strike. "You again," Red-Eye said. "This makes me very happy. My mission, you know," he finished, laughing. Pickett knew the gray rabbit had little chance against this powerful wolf. Red-Eye bared his teeth, crouched to spring. Then out of the bushes came a white rabbit. He was injured as well, Pickett could easily see, but had overcome the other wolf. Pickett couldn't believe it. The white rabbit was dressed in ordinary traveler clothes, as was the bigger gray rabbit, but his neck was covered in a flowing black scarf. He walked out of the thicket, carrying his sword. He said, "Unless you would die like your father died, red-eyed garlic son, leave now." Red-Eye's lone eye widened in shock. He was taken aback, then seemed suddenly eager. A look of frenzy was in his eye, but he could see that his opportunity had passed. For a few seconds, Pickett believed he would strike anyway, but after a moment's hesitation, he stole away with a bitter, growling hiss. Pickett saw mingled triumph and disappointment on his face as he left. When he disappeared into the woods, they heard a terrible, menacing, mournful howl. "The howl of shame," the white rabbit said, lowering his sword slowly. "It's not the first time I've heard it," the gray rabbit said, slumping. Pickett thought he knew that voice. "Father," he said, coming out of the cave. The gray rabbit turned slowly, and at first Pickett thought it was Father, but looking closer, he wasn't sure. Everything was hazy. "I'm not your father, lad," he said gently. "I'm the next best thing. I'm your uncle." Pickett could see it clearly now. He needed no confirmation other than to look at his uncle's face. There were, he realized, some fairly easy differences to spot. Father was soft, and a little pudgy. This rabbit was lean and powerful, more muscular than anyone Pickett had ever seen. "I'm Pickett," he said, smiling wearily. "I know your name, lad. I'm your Uncle Wilfred," he said, winking. "Heather," Pickett said, running back inside. He knelt beside his sister. He wanted to hug her and hold her and weep. He couldn't believe she was safe. It was all too wonderful. And he owed it all to his uncle and the white rabbit. The white rabbit slid easily through the cave entrance and noticed Heather on the floor unconscious. "We need to move her," he said, taking in the cave through squinting eyes. Pickett didn't like this idea at all. She was tired and needed to rest. "When she's better," he said. "No, lad," the white rabbit said, "now." Pickett bristled. It was one thing for his uncle to call him lad, but not someone who looked to be about his own age, even if he was a fighter. We can't move her, Pickett insisted. I'm not asking, he said. And she's not moving, Pickett said. How long till Red-Eye Garlickson gets back with his wolves and brings an army crashing down on us? The White Rabbit asked. Pickett couldn't think of anything at first, but he was determined to take care of his sister at all costs. The wolves can't get in here. What about your uncle? He can't fit in here, the White Rabbit said. His tone was growing sharper. Should we leave him to the wolves? He didn't leave your sister, did he? Didn't leave her, Pickett said, furious. Just what are you getting? The White Rabbit held up his hand, motioning for silence. Listen, he said. Pickett fumed, but stayed quiet. They heard the soft gurgling of a stream. The White Rabbit crossed the cave, found the crack on the other side, went in without hesitation. Wilfred, the White Rabbit called, trotting back into the section of the cave where Pickett sat holding Heather's head. There was the call of a whippoorwill, a hurried call which made Pickett flinch. Then Uncle Wilfred's face appeared in the door. That's my call, Pickett. You'll know it's me if you hear it. I do it a little faster than is quite right. The White Rabbit went on. There's a stream in here, Wilfred. Must be another entrance where the water comes out. Right, said Uncle Wilfred. Where's the stream, lad? The White Rabbit asked. Now Pickett was sure he hated being called lad by a rabbit who appeared to be about his same age. Past the 7th mound, he said curtly. The White Rabbit nodded at Uncle Wilfred, who disappeared with another wink at Pickett. See you soon, Pickett heard his uncle say. The White Rabbit bent and dug into his bag. He rummaged inside for a moment, then made for the cave entrance. What's going on? Pickett asked, allowing some of his anger to bubble up. Just a moment. Pickett watched the White Rabbit leave the cave and heard rustling in the woods. Pickett paced, anxiously watching Heather's dim form. Please wake up, Heather. In a few moments, the stranger returned with 2 long, thick sticks. He bent to put some cloth on the top of the staffs, squinting as his eyes again adjusted to the darkness. In a few minutes, he had 2 blazing torches going, and the cave lit up. He tossed one at Pickett, who caught it. He held it closer to Heather, examining her face. He saw the torn top of her right ear and noticed multiple other scratches and cuts. He winced at every one. I should have been with you. We've got to get moving, the White Rabbit said. He kept looking between the entrance and Heather, then back to the opening deeper in the cave. We have time to take care of her, I'm sure, Pickett said. But just as he spoke, they heard urgent, gruff voices and heavy footfalls. They can't get in here, he added nervously. But it was almost a question. He disliked referring to the White Rabbit, but fear crept in. He would do anything to protect Heather, even following this White Rabbit's orders. He would never leave her again. They won't be alone, the White Rabbit said, all business. He was calm, but got his things quickly. Can you carry her? He asked. I think so, Pickett began, handing over his torch and trying to lift Heather. He laid her gently down again and said, No, I can't. Please help me. The White Rabbit looked at Pickett, laid a hand on his shoulder, and nodded. It's all right, he said. Please carry the torches and go on ahead. Pickett accepted both torches and stepped forward, glancing back again and again. I'm right behind you, the White Rabbit said. Lifting Heather off the ground with surprising ease, he moved behind Pickett into the interior level of the 3rd mound. The noise outside grew louder, then began to fade as they disappeared deeper inside the darkness. Bye-bye for now.